What is happening? Welcome back to the YouTube, episode number 5 of the debut. A little bit of a different one going down today. I've got some notes up on the laptop in front of me. This video is basically just going to be a rundown. Are you actually ready to compete in a competitive bodybuilding show? So, first of all, the bottom line is you have to be enjoying the process. It genuinely is so simple, but again, it can be often pretty overlooked, I think. Like if you don't enjoy the buzzword monotony of a gaining phase, or you don't enjoy dieting, prepping is not going to solve that in any way, shape or form. It's just going to be a case of that will ruin your relationship with the whole process of bodybuilding, physique development, if you enter a contest prep when you don't actually love what you do on a day-to-day basis. So first of all, making sure that you love the stuff that you do, and if you don't enjoy that, then there's genuinely no point, and a prep is not going to save that in any way, shape or form. And another question I would ask yourself is why do you actually want to do this? Like, what do you expect to gain from this experience? And the bottom line as well, why do you actually want to do this? Is it because of the glamorization on Instagram? You see people prepping, get some cool photos for Instagram and stuff like that. Or again, the sort of more positive why as to why people prep. It's a case of like a natural progression, and it should feel natural. It should feel like I've been nailing my training for this long. I've got a diet under my break. I've had a few diets under my belt. I've had a long gaining phase under my belt. I've spent time building the muscle, and you've got that under your belt. You've got this experience within physique development, bodybuilding, and then it should just feel like a natural progression from just loving your training to I want to take this that little bit further, and then that little bit further is competing 9 times out of 10. So why do you actually want to do it? Obviously doing it for the right reasons. Natural progression. You have a passion for what you do, and it has to stem from having a passion for the day-to-day process. I cannot understate that enough. If you don't enjoy the day-to-day shit, you're not going to enjoy a prep. It is as simple as that. Now, when it comes to stuff that you have experienced within the realms of physique development, within the realms of bodybuilding, I think it's it's essential. It's desired. Maybe not 100% necessary, but it is very much desired. Actually, I'm going to change my word in there. That you have spent time. This is one that should be obvious. That you have spent time pushing bodyweight up, building the muscle that is required to not only be competitive from a muscular standpoint, but also to warrant getting into true stage condition. Now there is a complete difference between getting lean. Like, I got lean on my pre-prep diet, and there's a clear difference between getting lean and getting stage lean. It's two completely different ball games, and now you need to have the muscle to actually warrant being in stage condition. So making sure that you're spending time pushing food, pushing training performance, and ultimately within the realms of doing that, you should fall in love with the process. It also is obviously good to have a few diets under your belt as well. A diet is like a few tidy ups and stuff like that is obviously going to be probably the case of what you've done for yourself, but a diet where you actually take it that little bit further and get lean. You don't need to get in a stage condition for a diet that's not prep, but taking it that little bit further than just a tidy up, getting lean, seeing how you feel, seeing how your body reacts. Again, sort of buzz phrase if you like, but it gathers data on how you react to X, Y and Z, and it sort of ties in very nicely with the experience that you have leading into a prep. The longer you're with a coach beforehand of your prep, the better. And it genuinely is as simple as the coach gets to know who you are, how you operate both as an athlete and also from like a psychological standpoint as well. You get to gather more data, buzz phrase, you get to gather more data throughout gaining phases, diets, seeing how you react to X, Y and Z. The coach will know you inside and out, and that is something that I preach as well. Like, I've got boys wanting to go 2027, boys wanting to go 2028, and it's a case of we gather as much data as we possibly can, and by that time 2027 rolls around, 2028, I will know the clients like the back of my hand. I will know it as if it's myself. And that can only be a positive thing. There's no point in going to a coach when you are, if you're, weeks into a prep, or you're thinking, oh yeah, I want to start prep like soon. Like, realistically, is it doable? Yes. Is it more beneficial to start beforehand? Of course it is. So yeah, that sort of ties in nicely with experience within the realms of bodybuilding, physique development, and it sort of ties in with the whole coaching thing. Next one is, you need to have a plan. When it comes to a contest prep, a methodically thought out plan is absolutely essential. You will not be able to get away with just winging it, almost not having a timeline, albeit a timeline is subject to change, and you need to have some degree of flexibility to almost kind of venture from the timeline at times, but you need to have that timeline in place. It genuinely is as simple as that. It's clarity within the process, it's confidence that things are heading in the right direction, and again, sort of planning ahead, giving yourself a little bit longer than what you need, because at the end of the day, there is nothing worse than being in a contest prep and not having the time, like feel like time is slipping away from you. Like right now, where I'm at in my own contest prep, we have got a fuck ton of time. We have got we did have too much time, to be fair, if that is even such a thing. So we had to opt out of competing in these shows that were towards the later in the year in September time, because reason being is I'm simply just too ready, and I'm not going to be able to hold that condition for that prolonged period of time. So it's better to have more time than not enough time. And again, that just comes, what is it they say, like proper planning prevents poor performance, or something along those lines, is what people say. But yeah, the plan needs to be in place from the get-go, realistically, and this can start like years in advance. Like I was saying, like I've got boys that have came to me in 2025 wanting to compete years and years and years later down the line, and again, that's only going to pay dividends when it comes to I know how they operate for a gaining phase, I know how they operate for a diet, I know their strong points, I know their weak points, I know how they operate as a human being from a psychological standpoint, a physical standpoint. You almost know the person like the back of your hand, and that is absolutely super valuable when it comes to taking someone through a contest prep. And with regards to planning ahead as well, like making sure that you are fully aware of what can happen, the effects of a prep, the effects of what prep can have on obviously the mind, the body, from obviously like stuff like a hormonal standpoint. The mind, again, this will obviously vary from person to person. Physique development, bodybuilding, it's a very individualised sport, and obviously each person will react differently to a contest prep. But for example, like myself, when I start to get hungry, I start to get impatient, albeit I try my best to absolutely manage that. But again, I feel myself being a little bit impatient. It's really important to know what your little telltale signs are, and obviously how do you do that? You diet beforehand, you get lean beforehand, so you know what you're susceptible to, and you can obviously put stuff in place to then obviously combat that. And again, it's just it all comes down to just having that proper plan in place. And now I thought an overlooked sort of factor, I think probably one of the most important ones, is how is your general life? Are you stable, like from an emotional standpoint? Do you stay in like a stable house? Is your environment, are you in a positive environment? It's not saying it needs to be absolutely perfect, but again, making sure that things are to a decent enough standard that's going to allow you to thrive in a contest prep environment. Another thing as well, like, are you financially secure? Like, prep is not fucking cheap in any way, shape or form. I am actually just going to, when I finish this video, I'm going to hop off and get my first show, get registered for my first show, which is pretty exciting, but it's also fucking expensive as well. So if you do plan on competing, that is something I would advise. Start saving in the years leading up to your contest prep. Again, it's never going to hurt to have more money than what is needed for a contest prep. Making sure you are financially stable is such a super valuable thing. Again, it's just going to remove that stress, and as we all know, stress ruins looks, especially when you are so deep into a contest prep. Stress can ruin your look, so just taking one less thing to have to stress about, it's always going to be a positive. Another thing as well is, do you have commitments that may impede your contest prep? Now, I'm not talking about things like a job, because obviously a job, for example, where you're on your feet will have an impact on your contest prep, but it's not going to directly stand in the way of it. You know, stuff like, I'm talking about stuff that's bigger than that, like, you know, if you're going through a process of like moving house, etc., like, is it really, are you really in the best environment to go through with a contest prep? I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying making sure that, you know, to the best of your ability, that everything going on in your life is safe, stable, it's secure, and it's going to allow for you to thrive within a contest prep environment. And obviously another thing as well, like this sort of comes in with planning, communication, etc., etc. It is your job and your job only to make sure that your friends, your family, your partner is fully aware of what are your needs, you know, heading into a contest prep, whether that be, you know, times of the day where you want to be sleeping at, or, you know, your sleep and wake time, little things like not offering you food. You know, it is your job to communicate that, because at the end of the day, we are the ones that are doing the weird thing. It's not, you know, it's not your mum's fucking job to be like, whoa, what is my son or what is my daughter, what do they want from me at this moment in time? Do they want me to offer them dinner? Like, it is literally your job and your job only to communicate with the people around you as to, you know, what you need from them. And again, it goes both ways as well. Just because you are in a contest prep, it does not mean that you can't give back to people. And again, that may look like different. That will look different for different people. But what I would think, for example, is like, say it's your mate's birthday. Your mates are going out for some food. There's nothing wrong with you going out, having a good time with your mates. Albeit you're not going to be eating, but just being there and giving back to them. Just because you are contest prep, it doesn't put your life outside the prep on hold, and that is one thing that I'm, you know, making sure that I'm upholding. Although yes, I'm in a contest prep, yes, I want to be as successful as possible, but at the end of the day, I'm still a son, I'm still a boyfriend, I'm still a brother, I am still a grandson. Like, I still have other things outside of, you know, prep that goes on, that I still need to give the attention that it needs, that it deserves, and you know, making sure that I'm not just solely a bodybuilder. Like, that's not what I want to be. I don't just want to be, you know, a bodybuilder and a coach. That's not all I want to be. I want to branch off into different things in my life as well. And that sort of, that opens up a different can of worms as such as well, you know, doing different things, like having different hobbies outside of bodybuilding, consuming different content that's not just always solely surrounded around bodybuilding as well. But yeah, a little bit of a shorter one today, but I hope this does provide value for a lot of people. I like to think, you know, before I make these videos, I think it would be something that I would like to, you know, sit down and watch if I was, you know, the people that I'm targeting this towards. If I was in, you know, your shoes, at my point in my physique development journey, where I was just getting into bodybuilding, thinking about, you know, starting a contest prep, this is sort of stuff that I wish I could tell my younger self as well. So yeah, that is all for this short little video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you took something from it, most importantly. And until the next one, I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.